The more voices that you're open to, the more curious you are, the more trails that you're willing to follow, the more open you are to other people's ideas, you can create richer work. The title of my work is Mesh Interspecies Empathy. Uncertainty evokes new questions in times of crisis. I work with living things, and living things require support systems. And I'm interested in evoking empathy with life in an era in which anthropocentric practices have caused disruption. For almost 3 decades, I've been working with living organisms in my work, and these organisms respond in performative actions. I see them as performances. I've moved away from initially being interested in what it means to be human into what it means to be biological. For me, there are all sorts of relationships. There's symbiotic, commensal, parasitic, some that are beneficial to one or the other. But generally, what I'm looking for is an empathetic relationship to heal wounds. I think that we have a responsibility for our actions, and when we manipulate life or when through technology, we cause disruptions to life, we have a responsibility. So these are the types of wounds that I'm speaking about. Through my interactions with living things, I've come to ascertain that they either thrive or suffer. When you work intimately with things, you develop the knowledge to recognise whether something's thriving or not. They might fruit, they might create a biofilm, which means that they're thriving and they're throwing off these cellulose layers. Generally in my practice, I hack the tools, materials and processes of science. So I have actually piggybacked onto my 2020 ANAP Synapse residency, in which I worked with seaweed biopolymers to produce plastic alternatives, and brought in a collaborator, M. Dudek, who is a religious scholar, performance artist, religious myth maker, and is interested in science fictive stories. Instead of just looking to produce a eco-friendly plastic, we looked at more medical applications. So there was this mesh of ideas, and the art project fed it into the science at the lab, and it was very interesting because during the collaboration, ideas that maybe we wouldn't have come up on our own were able to happen. Initially, the Skin Bible was going to stop with Michael and I working together and producing the actual artefact, but it's actually moved beyond that, and now we're looking to make a performance work in which we'll be working in virtual reality, and we will be transposing that onto an archaeological dig in Scotland called Skara Brae. What was quite unexpected for me was that he said that there was potential for the two of us to perform not as ourselves but as priestesses within his narrative. We can be in different places but still be able to be transported into this environment virtually. When you work collaboratively, people have different agendas, they have different problems they want to solve. That always leads for an uncertain creation. One thing I can tell you is that scientists find working with artists extremely interesting because they first write up a proposal and then they have to prove or disprove this proposal. With open-ended creative work, we don't work like that. We can change path as different ideas come into the mix, and we can go to unknown places, and I think that's wonderful. This has been a year-long project. The idea is not to produce a polished, finished work, but it's mainly about the discoveries. It doesn't matter who you work with. There's always challenges in that you have different minds, you have different ideas that you wish to explore. However, the pathways that you can discover are so exciting. I find any difficulty that I may find along the way just actually is a way of growing in my practice, and I find it extremely exciting.